So today, man, I want to dive into my story. I want to give you guys the good, the bad, the uglier, the nasty, the messiness that came in between. I want to give you guys all of that on my journey from moving into hurt to healing. And I want to talk about today getting over the hill. And as I was just preparing this, I got over the hill written down and I said, you know what? It should be over the hill, H-E-A-L. That is right. H-E-A-L. H-E-A-L. I promise you guys, I do have a college degree. That's not important here. But I want to talk about my journey of truly getting over to heal, my path of moving from hurt to healing. And as I give you guys that, all the stuff, all the story, I want to make sure that I leave you with a semblance of hope to let you know there truly is a space and a place of healing for you. I want to dive into it. In the meantime, welcome to Black Sheep TV, where there's no man left behind. Jesus will always chase the one and leave the 99. Let's get into it. Healing today is a buzzword. Buzz as in like a million bumblebees. It's buzzing all the time. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Heal, heal, heal. It is really, I would say, almost like trendy. It's the topic of conversation, whether you're dating, whether you're in small groups, whether you're talking with your friend. The idea of trauma and drama and then moving into like a space of healing. And I know, especially like if you're in the dating world right now, I just remember like the question often came, are you healed? I want somebody healed. I want somebody whole. And my question is, really, do we even know what that truly means? Like, have we really dove into the idea of what healing truly means? And I'm not saying that I have the answers to what that means. I'm just saying that I do have a story to tell of me knowing that I was swimming, maybe not even swimming, maybe drowning in hurt, and how I actually got to a place of getting over the hill. And for me, my definition of healing is simply learning to live in your hurt without actually hurting people. Because in this life, you're going to experience hurt. Whether you are young and you've experienced just the heartache of, I don't know, a cut, a bruise, or you just experienced some real emotional stuff with your parents, with your siblings, with distant relatives, friends, whatever the case may be, in this life, you will have trouble. That was a promise. Jesus said, in this world, you will have trouble. The thing is, within that trouble, you can truly take heart to know that he's overcome the world. There is a space and a place where you can draw on to him and find some safety. But you will experience trouble. So for me, learning that, going through the mess that I've been through to get to that place, I simply came out of all of that with the notion and the definition that healing is simply learning not to hurt people when I'm hurting, because I'm going to hurt. That's just a way of life. Another way that is said is that hurt people hurt people. I don't even know if it's a conscious thing that they do. I say they. That I did, that we do. I don't even know if it's conscious all the time. I just think it's cause and effect. I'm hurt. I don't know what to do with it. So naturally, I just practice what's been given to me. So I end up hurting people. And that's true. It is. Like, we know that to be true. Hurt people really hurt people. However, however, healed people truly heal people. And just like hurt people do it unconsciously, I really do believe that when you're healed, you heal people unconsciously. It's just in your essence. It's just the ointment that healed people have on them, because you leave their presence feeling refreshed. You leave their presence feeling like enlightened or just joyful because they don't have anything to give except the heal that they have experienced. It's almost in the essence of out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if your heart is callous, if it's darkened, if it's been beat on, then naturally out of your mouth and out of your countenance, you're going to give off what's in your heart. But the same is true when you actually put yourself in a situation for your heart to be mended, for it to be worked on, for some band-aids and some stitches to be some internal work to be done. You are naturally going to give out what's inside. So healed people truly heal people. So I want to give you guys the depth of my whole story, but I'm going to start in my childhood. And I think anybody can resonate with this story. If you got spankings, you can resonate with the story. If you didn't get spankings, then you don't know this to be true. I'm just going to teach you something right now. But when I was younger and my mom would spank me, I think spank is just a universal word. Some people call them whoopings. Some people call them beatings. Some people, my mom didn't have a definition for it. She just dished them out, and she was pretty good at it too. Like really good at it. If there was an Olympics for spankings, I guarantee you, my mama at least is taking home a bronze medal at the minimum. And her highest of heights, she's going home with the gold every time. She would put America on the map for spankers, I guarantee you. But I want to give you guys this notion that you probably know. When my mom would spank me, my mom would often say to me after I was crying for a little bit, she would look at me, and I'm not talking about the crying when you're first getting the spanking, because that's just like the normal cry. It's the like I'm getting spanked, I'm getting spanked. It's that after cry. And the after cry, if you've experienced this, the after cry was almost like a soul chest cry. You know? That cry, I don't know what it is, but it's the one that sits on your chest, and it kind of goes with the and and I have no idea why it was always like three huffs that you did with your chest. It's just the cry. when when I had that cry, my mom, she used to always say to me, and this is the weirdest statement in life: "If you know, you know." My mom would always say to me, "You better stop crying before I give you something to cry about." Baffling to me to this day. I have never quite come to understand what that means. And I have kids now, and I just like, I can't use this. I feel like my daughter's way too smart. She might stop mid cry and be like, what does that mean? I wish I could have back then too. Like, what exactly does that mean? So my mom would yell out, "You better stop crying before I give you something to cry about." And I'm like, yo, so you want me to stop crying before you give me something to cry about? Well, how does that work? Because the reason I'm crying is because you've already given me a reason to cry. So now you're going to give me another rationale for crying again. It just never made any sense to me. But I'll tell you one thing: when she said it, I stopped the I had to hold it in a little bit. I tightened up just a little bit, and even if it was still going, I got a little bit quiet, because whatever that reason she was gonna give, I did not want to find out what that is. I had no desire to find out what it is. Like I said, gold medal and spankings. The reason I bring that up is because I feel like, just like our mothers, our fathers, whoever gave you that statement, "I better stop crying before you give me something to cry about." I feel like that is so conducive to life and the pain and struggle of life. I feel like when you're down in life, when you're hurting, when it's suffering, when it's chaos, when it's grief, it seems like life really doesn't let up in them seasons. At least that's how it is for me. And I feel like life is simply saying, you better stop crying before I give you something to cry about. I feel like when I'm crying, when I'm down, life is like, oh, let me give him another reason to cry. Let me give him another reason to shed tears. And it seems like the troubles and the struggles, they come from all different angles. And it's it sucks. But there is a space in that turmoil, in that chaos, where you're supposed to do something with it that doesn't lead you to continue to go downhill, but actually begin to put stakes in the hill, in the mountain, so that you can get over the hill. First one is to count it joy. The word says, count it joy when you go through various trials of many kinds. And various means various. That means a little trial here. That means a little trial there. Here a trial, there a trial. I forgot the way it goes. But you get the point. Everywhere trial. You know, that's how life is going. There's various trials. But the word of God says that we are supposed to count it joy. When I hear that, or how I begin to practice that, is to literally begin to count my blessings. Begin to count the things that are good in my life. Begin to count what I have going on around me, and then to begin to count on Jesus to deliver me from it. Because that testing, the reason we count it joy is because we know that it's working something within us. It's building us up. It's building character. It's building strength. It's building us up for the next season. So I gotta count it all joy. Well, one, I am this base level. I'm glad I woke up this morning. I'm glad that my kids are healthy. If they're not healthy, I'm glad that they're here. I'm glad that I got a job. Whatever that is that you got to begin to count on, because maybe some of those reasons are the things that got you suffering right now. So maybe you got to count other things. Just like it's various trials, there's also various amounts of joy that you can actually begin to count. But while you're counting, count on Jesus to see you through. There is no discipline that seems good in the moment, but in the end, that yields a perfect fruit of righteousness. God will see you through. He will get you over the hill. I just want to be vulnerable for a second and share with you guys a piece of my story, my most troubling time in my life. And this started back in 2018. And in 2018, I was engaged to be married. I was pastoring at a church. I felt like things were looking up for me. It was a great season in life. I was getting everything that I had sought in the previous season. It felt like I was truly blessed. It felt like things were coming together. And suddenly, I was no longer on top of the hill. Matter of fact, the marriage that I was about to partake in a month before the wedding, we decided to call it off. And I think it was more of a I decided to call it off. And even though it was me calling it off, it was still just as painful because I was one of them people. I wasn't getting married just for the fun of it. Like, I truly loved the person in front of me, but I felt like it was the wrong decision to make. But it still hurt nonetheless. I'm talking about I was crushed. And that was the first part of the landslide. So after that mudslide, I was like, yo, there is no way that life is going to bring me something that is going to add on to this hurt. This is enough. I feel buried at this point. But lo and behold, like I said, when you are hurting or when I'm hurting, life tends to say, I'm going to give you something to cry about, even though I am already crying. I'm already at the three chest cries. Please don't give me anything else. And a week later, after I called out the engagement, a guy who I won't say any names, but he was like a father figure to me. And he was the leader of the church that I was pastoring at. And he sat me down and he was like, yo, man, I'm gonna have to let you go. You're gonna have to step down. And as soon as he said it, my I'm not like a public crier of sadness, but I couldn't even hold the tears that were inside of me. I just began to cry, and I'm pleading with him like, "Yo, I can do this. Like, I'm okay. I can make it through." And I'm debating like, "Hey, like I don't have any sin issue. I haven't cheated. I haven't had any like sexual immorality, anything. Like, all I did was call off an engagement." And to him it wasn't that simple. He simply told me like, "Hey, you've lost authority." And even that statement alone, like it hurt me, because it's like, how do I lose authority in the eyes of God? And I had a lot of questions. And I know this man loved me. I know he cared for me. I cared for him, still care for him, and I know the same is true for him. But he asked me to step down. So the marriage that I was about to walk into, the ministry that I was in, I had to all leave that at the table. I said leave. I didn't have no choice. Life was spanking me. And I was crushed. I'm talking about broken down. And initially, I decided like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna try to push through this. But I found myself aching in times where I shouldn't have been aching. I'm playing basketball, but yet I'm aching. I'm swimming, but yet I'm aching. I'm at a celebration, but my I have no joy or celebration within me. And I was doing the opposite of what I said. I was not counting it joy. I was counting up the trouble that I was in, the pain that I experienced. And that's the worst thing that you can do. If you don't count it joy, then by nature you are subtracting, and you're beginning to count all the negative things in your life. I want to repeat that. You are subtracting, and you're beginning to count all the negative things. A negative plus a negative is only a positive in math. That does not equal in life or in the kingdom of God. It just doesn't. It's bad math. And I thought I would never get out. I thought I was stuck here forever. I wish I could tell you guys that after 2020, those 2 years, I got back up and I was on my feet. But that is not what took place. Not even close. I began to slide even farther. I thought I had slid as far as I was gonna go, but instead of sliding, I was getting buried. I was burying, digging a grave, and I just began to stray away from the position that I knew to be of healing, of the position that I knew that would be restored to. And I began to do things that actually put me in the position of pain. So although the pain that I initially experienced was from, I would say, outside sources and some things that I couldn't control, the pain that compounded was pain that I put myself in. Yeah, I know that today. It was pain that I put myself in. And I just kept building on that pain. And before long, if you position yourself in pain, pain will feel like it's permanent. So I want to give you guys one more story. And the story I felt like was super befitting because it was actually from the mentor that I spoke about that was over me as I was in ministry. And he used to often teach the story about Alcatraz. If you're not familiar with Alcatraz, look it up. It's a prison that's out in the Bay Area, and the prison was deemed inescapable. And it was inescapable because it was on an island, and even if you got outside the building to get to land, you would have to swim miles in this frigid cold water, and you were presumed to die. But but there is a documentary that you should definitely check out. In the documentary, it speaks of these three men that actually escaped from Alcatraz, or at least presumed to have escaped from Alcatraz. Some think that they're dead, but a body, not even one of the three bodies was ever discovered. So I kind of am on the side of these guys escape. And it's a phenomenal story about how these guys for months built this plan. They were hiding behind sheets and things of that nature. And they built this plan to actually escape. And it involved them using a spoon to dig between the walls. And they did this for months. And they dig between the walls, and then they escape through the walls into the sewage system, get on top of the roof, and then they're in the water on this makeshift raft that they built out of like raincoats. And like I said, bodies were never found, so a lot of people believe that they actually got to freedom. And I share that because these guys, they dug through the wall, and in order to actually get out of the prison, they had to go through the sewage system. The sewage system. And if you're thinking about the sewage system and you think about it like I think about it, it's just they had to dig through a bunch of crap in order to get to freedom. I would like to say to you guys, this is the same that is true if you're in a place of pain, if you're in a place of chaos, if you've compounded pain onto your life, then in order to get out of the prison of pain, the only way to freedom is to actually dig through the crap. You got to dig through all of the crap, and that's nasty. That is nasty work. But if you can get on the other side of that crap, your life, my life, our lives will be one of freedom. One where there's no more bars, there's no more binding. You are truly free to experience your life as God designed it to be. It's just going to take you digging through the crap. It's just necessary. It sucks. It sucks. I'm going to tell you, you know this to be true. They tell you this in therapy when you first start. It is true. If you want to heal, it will probably get worse before it gets better. I won't even say probably. It will get worse before it gets better because you're digging through the crap. You're going backwards to get through all the crap that you compounded in your life in order to get to a place of freedom. And I want to do another story on this and another follow up on this to give more depth and clarity. But for the sake of this, I want to tell you guys just a couple or a few points on how you can get free. One, I want you guys to be reminded this is Psalms 147 and 3. And it says that he heals the brokenhearted and he binds up their wounds. That's one letting you know that in this life you will have a broken heart. In this life there will be cuts, there will be beatings that you take, but Jesus will bind up those wounds. So my number one is lean on him, trust in him, seek him. If you don't know him, ask, seek, knock, so that the door can be open. That is going to be your ultimate place of healing. Secondly, you should try to find a therapist. And therapy is one of them things. It's tricky for me because it's so expensive. I feel like therapy should be like a BOGO deal. Like I go one and get one free. Like it's that essential. Like just give us some coupons or something like that. I have no idea why therapy is so high. But if you can, if there's a place, research, find out people that can supplement your therapy calls, things of that nature. But therapy will be extremely helpful. And my last one is community. You have to seek out people that you're truly close to, and you have to give them the information that, hey, look, I'm on the struggle bus. And the chances are they already know. They've been watching you. They might not have said anything, but they've been watching you. But you just need to open up and tell them that. And I say that for friends, but honestly, the only way all three of these can actually begin to work out some stuff in you to get you to freedom is if you're transparent. Be transparent with the Lord. Be transparent with your therapist. Be transparent with your community. If you do that, then I guarantee you, you will be on the edge to freedom. It's grabbing the spoon and digging through the wall. And you got to keep digging piece by piece, piece by piece, piece by piece. And even when you build a hole big enough to begin to get through, then you got to dig through the crap. But if you can get through the crap and actually get out into this place of freedom, it is worth it to then begin to get out of the prison of pain. This is the Black Sheep TV. I thank you for listening. If this is content that you like, if this is content that you need, if this is content that somebody else needs, I ask you to like and subscribe. I plan on dropping a video every week. Please, please know that there is no man left behind. Jesus will always go for the one and leave the 99.